you were and where you left off. We'll go ahead and give us the rundown. I apologize.
I felt so confident. You're like, oh, short of OBS crashing. Like, oh, I'll just keep talking. He disappeared again. I look over at chat.
Yeah.
God.
Look. There's I don't know who I blame. So I blame OBS and Twitch. That's what I blame. I blame OBS and Twitch.
So you already saw people from our community being like, Cody, look out for the bus. Anytime anything goes wrong.
Oh, is this your fault?
I'm to blame.
I like this.
And the bus comes and runs me over. I know, it's really convenient.
Anytime something goes wrong on any stream, I just say the bus and Cody did it. Even if you're not even part, I love this.
Yeah. Throw Cody under the bus. It's that easy. We had a charity stream for Pathfinder, and someone made a custom animation of whenever there was they could donate money to make me autofill my next roll, and a little animation of my avatar being run over by a bus would play.
Well, that's amazing. We were talking about color coding, and we crashed the system. You found a bug. Just continue so we can merge this back together for all the people on YouTube.
I don't know if that means my community loves me or hates me, but, you know...
Love, hate? I mean, that's a thing, right?
So, let's rewind a little. We're going to make a new character from scratch.
Okay.
We're going to show off the character building thing. We showed how we can, like, once you have pick some choices, like, you're good. But let's go ahead and roll some ability scores. You know, Foundry has support for dice roll, so this is the classic 4d6 keep high 3. We can see like a 10 and a 13 and a 10 and a 14. Not an amazing ability score, but I can start, you know, entering those and where I want. And you guys helpfully, you know, have the steps broken down and what steps choices you should make. Let's go ahead and hit this hammer to open up the character builder.
Is that where it crashes OBS again? Because you hit hammer?
Yeah.
Okay.
What bam? So if we click our lineage here, we can see all of the ones that are entered, and then the custom one. One of the big goals was to support Homebrew really easily, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, you know, if we don't want to do Homebrew, maybe we're building an elf today. You know, we can read about what is an elf. It's like, oh, elves are, you know, mature at 100 and live to 750. So, you know, just to, you guys, what's your anniversary? 17?
Yes, it's 17, yeah.
So let's be 170. We're probably a medium character. You know, we can see our choices, and we get traits like keen senses and magic ancestry. So we'll choose that, and now we can see we've chosen lineage elf, and now we go on to our heritage. You know, gotta reach for the stars, so let's do a cloud heritage. They tend to be lawful, so let's be lawful good. We get touch of magic, world of wonders and languages. And then finally, you know, are we going to be more of a knowledge guy, more of a soldier guy? I think we can go ahead and roll our adventuring motive and see that we were a scholar with our adventuring way of life is to escape academia. I never want it. I too had to go to college when I just wanted to work.
Yeah, I mean, certain professions, right? Certain professions.
Yeah. And we can see, like, you know, soldier has like, oh, you can choose one talent like armor. And if we choose that, now our character's set up. We're elf, cloud, soldier. Class isn't there yet. That's Playtest Packet 2. We're lawful good. We got our armor training. We got our perception for free from Elf Queen's senses. We go over to traits, and now we have some choices to make. And we can see, you know, start going through those, pick what we want our character to be, and start giving those green check boxes, and know when we're good to go. So that is the character building experience that we implemented in Playtest Packet 1.
Sure.
A lot of people are really excited by it. We really want to do this, like, partially because Wolfgang was excited about having a nice character builder, and partially because we don't tend to see many good character builders in the wild, and we want to show that that's the kind of thing you can do in Foundry really easily with clean code and without adding much work.
It's super clean. On top of being clean, it looks, I mean, you're running this in the web browser, right? You're not even running it in the app. You're running it web browser. It's smooth. Like, it runs really smooth. There's no chugging. Obviously, we don't have a live map and doing a lot of crazy things right now, but that's awesome. When you go to start implementing classes and bringing in new features from Project Black Flag, how long of a time frame will the audience be waiting for before they can see those implemented as well? Because this stuff takes time.
Yeah, it does take time, and I was, my coworker on the stream, we did a stream for developers mostly on Friday, showing trying to get them interested, trying to get community developers, showing what's out there and what's available and how these features work at a technical level. It's like, okay, we know classes are coming in Playtest Packet 2. We went ahead. It's like, all right, let's go ahead and set up, we don't have the full details, but here's 2 classes. They have a name, they have a description, They have a uses magic checkbox, right? Mm-hmm. And I was able to add that concept and those fields and add it to the character sheet and support in Character Builder in 20 minutes on stream.
Oh, wow.
Partially because we built a clean foundation where I just copied heritage, renamed it class, changed what values it had, and then wired it through.
It's all modular building blocks almost. So you can really Lego your way, or Duplo block your way to victory, because you can't use the word Lego anymore.
Non-name brand, I guess.
Right, yeah. Generic Walgreens brand building blocks. But that's awesome. I didn't know you guys had done it that way. So that means that as things roll out, short of brand new mechanics, you guys are going to be able to implement at a pretty quick rate.
Yeah, so as we get rules for how do you roll a skill check, this is going to take us a little longer than 20 minutes, right? We're going to have to set up some code for that. We don't have anything to copy paste from.
Sure.
But we wanted to make it easy to keep up to date. We got, the Playtest 1 packet, a week or 2 before it went live. And from having nothing to having essentially this, we built that in about 1 or 2 weeks of not even dedicated time. Foundry is at this point in time pretty easy to set up these kinds of things and build as you go. So we plan on, with community help, having support for Playtest packets
as they roll out
in a matter of weeks, not months after they drop to the public.
So they get to take it, read it, break it apart for themselves, and by the time they're understanding it or they're ready to do something with it, you'll probably have it implemented through Foundry.
Pretty much,
a 2-week span.
I'm not going to commit to deadlines here, but
look. There's 2 times you don't commit to deadlines. 1, you don't commit to a deadline anytime you're doing something in a playtest. 2, anytime coding's involved, anywhere, do not commit to a hard deadline.
But when we opened up, you expressed surprise that we had done this, and people don't tend to do playtests.
Right.
We've actually seen a lot of benefits of working with publishers to get their playtests in Foundry, because we find that when they get their content, when you write content, you're just writing it, right? When you put it into a VTT, it's forced to be a little more structured, and you start getting things like automatic math calculations of the health and their defenses and their hit scores and things like that. And we found that by getting playtests actively into Foundry, which can be done fairly quickly, people discover, oh, there's a typo here, this is off, this monster's stats are wrong mathematically. And we very quickly find out, it's so fast to test new ideas by making a small change, playing a whole combat. You can do combat so much faster when it's automatically checking things did that hit, apply the damage, things like that. So you can get playtest feedback done much faster.
So as we move through with Project Black Flag and new stuff comes out, long-term goals for Foundry, say year and a half out, everything's ready to go, book is completed, both the internal trademark is done, and like Alexander said, Project Black Flag is a name, it's an idea, it's rallying behind the idea of making this new system. So Project Black Flag is not the end name, it's kind of like the movement behind everything that we're doing. But that will change. There's something in the background. But for the core fantasy stuff, the system itself, these books come out and the rules come out and they become full-fledged. Support in the future for this, are you going to continue supporting at a quick rate like this, where things are rolling out in that 30-day window, we'll say, to a month and a half? Is that kind of the game plan with Foundry and Project Black Flag?
Our game plan is less about how how quickly can we deliver this after it drops, and more about let's get community devs in a good spot so that they can be excited about it and get it out as they want. We've found time and time again that even if we can develop something, we're only a couple developers. We have people working on Pathfinder 2nd Edition, for instance, with 30 community developers.
That's a whole team.
Yeah, it's bigger than some companies, right? And they're doing. These are people who love the game. They love playing Pathfinder. They love making, and therefore they do the work they do making that system is better than anything we could do.
So you give them a skeleton, and they flesh the skeleton out with everything.
Essentially, they built that from scratch. We want to provide the skeleton, and we want to get people who are excited by Black Flag working on Black Flag. We already have a couple people who are like, oh man, those dudes, this already looks like it's changing some stuff in 5e I've always wanted to see change. Like, this is a good opportunity. Like, I should get involved. Our hope is by empowering them, they will do a better job than anything we could ever do.
That's all. Yeah. I can't agree with that more. The fact that you guys have a community that is so strong that they are building things out in like 30-man teams. Look, I don't know about you. I've had organized teams in the past. It's difficult. Bravo to the community of 30 people who are doing that on their own.
They have a dedicated community project manager who's also volunteering time just to manage it. Like, it is an insane undertaking.
Hobbies are amazing.
And these people are doing it in their free time. They do their own streams. They have their own Discord community. That's so much more powerful than anything we could build ourselves. Right?
I had no idea that is how a lot of this is being done. Obviously, we deal with third-party publishing, and we've seen third-party publisher not only just as Kobold Press, but enthusiasts of the hobby we're involved in. But having that many people come around technology and build it, have you seen that become even stronger since we kind of went through the COVID years?
Foundry
is that what changed a lot of stuff?
Up during that time, everyone suddenly couldn't meet in person, and suddenly they needed a place online to play. And now we've seen people playing in person again, but they're bringing Foundry to the table. They're setting up touchscreens, they're setting up IR readers, all sorts of stuff, digital dice, so that they can play with digital character sheets in person at the table, and then if someone's not there, they can just play remotely and join in. Hybrid tabletop gaming is becoming super popular now.
It is. It's just so easy to be able to put a TV on a wall, or if you're one of those special people who get to build it in their table, you can showcase something on the fly, and you can still use all your physical products as well. So you got this nice kind of versatility. I know that I have found through virtual tabletop and through streaming, having the archive of data and not relying on the notes that no one took is fantastic.
No VTT can solve players not taking notes.
No.
They can at least give a place for them to take notes.
Yes. It's easier to write down information by typing than writing for some people. What else? Go ahead.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people get into the hobby because of the ease of assisted technologies.
Yeah.
My fiance introduced her family, to it. Her dad last played D&D 2nd Edition 4 years ago. And they can suddenly play these modern games because they don't have to sit there oh, how do I add my attack bonus? How do I calculate this? They're oh, I know I have this attack. I know this attack is cool. I can just play the game. I can get really into role-playing and solving mysteries and not worry about spending 3 weeks learning the rules, right?
Yeah.
So it's really enabling new people to get into the hobby at the low price of it costs them $0 and connecting with their browser to start playing.
That makes total sense, actually. So going forward with the rest of today's stream, is there anything else you want to showcase before we start fielding questions?
Yeah, so this is what Playtest 1 packet is. I think the last thing to show is let's talk about Homebrew. Homebrew is always something people like.
Yep.
Sometimes VTTs can struggle to provide Homebrew. Even within Foundry, we have some systems that build with Homebrew in mind and some that don't. And we wanted Black Flag to be Homebrew in mind. So
ground up.
Yep, ground up. So we have all of these, say, like heritages and lineages and such of like, this is what's provided out of the box. But as you saw, we could also choose things like moose board. So we
Look, we did
and
add
scuttlebutt.
we did add a bear folk style in one of our books, so I guess maybe a moose is acceptable. No,
All
I'm
right,
just
let's
kidding.
let's make a bear folk from scratch.
No.
No. It's gonna take like a minute. So we're going to make a bear. Uh-oh. Maybe it's not. It's gonna take like more than a minute.
Well, hey,
finding.
Are you on the
finding
bus?
bugs
Are you on the bus? Is that what's going on
yeah.
here?
Vroom.
All right.
Let's reopen up our moose board because apparently I had some local changes that broke it.
It's not me. It is definitely Cody breaking everything.
So we can see, like, we can choose our, how fast it is. Moose are actually pretty fast.
True. There are trucks in 4 foot of snow.
We can set up traits like, very durable, and start writing up things. We can say that, like, we're just resistant to, like, bludgeoning damage and save that. And now, over in our character sheet, we can choose Mooseborn and start getting those things right away. It's in the character builder, it's right there alongside everything else. It works the same way. I didn't, as a GM, I just had to enter it. And other people can make modules, so it's like if I want to publish the Mooseborn lineage as a third-party content, I can make it available either free or paid. Someone could go subscribe to my Patreon or buy off my Kickstarter, buy the list of animal lineages and install it and have it right there for their players to play with.
That's awesome. Wow. So looking at this, you guys obviously have a lot of art in place. I'm assuming these are placeholders. I see that on the screen.
The placeholder text, yeah.
Is that the same for all of like your icons and stuff like that? Are those all going to be customized to fit the flavor and feel of whatever the trade dress is for Black Flag? Is that the long-term goal?
Yeah, so we offer, and Foundry has a bunch of out-of-the-box icons you can use. So if we go look at like the Cloud lineage and like the Touch of Magic trait, this is one of the icons we have in core. If we go look at like all the magic earth icons, there's just a lot of icons that you can use in Foundry for free.
Oh, you got like a full drop down of selections. I'm assuming you could probably add your own.
Oh, absolutely. And this Mooseborn obviously isn't one that we did, so it's my user data right alongside my Pringles man and this guy with an eye patch. So it's easy for users to add their own assets. It's easy to bundle assets and ship them. Like if I was doing Mooseborn, I would ship the module with the data and the images, and people could use it. There's icons already in Foundry, and as we get assets from Kobold Press, we're going to presumably use those in Kobold Press's content.
That's awesome. That makes me super excited. I love when I go to present something as a GM to new players or players to a new system, being able to showcase something either physically in person or in a virtual tabletop that gives the feel of what we're about to play makes a huge difference. And you've done that and are going to update it, but also you've given a way to make it really easy. Like it's really easy to do stuff. Are some of the things that I'm seeing on screen drag and drop? Like when equipment comes out, do you drag equipment on? Do you go through a list of stuff? Like how will that work in the future?
Yeah, those kind of workflows are supported in Foundry, and others do them. Being able to drag and drop things right into your character sheet is pretty intuitive for adding items, for instance. We are going to wait and see what exactly equipment looks like for Kobold Press. For instance, games like 13th Age, equipment actually, like, you don't really care. It's like, oh, you don't actually keep track of your rope. You just say you have rope, and you don't care about its weight or how much of it you have. You just have rope. You only write down things like, I have a magic sword. It's actually important. Whereas D&D, tends to be more like, I keep track of every arrow I have because I'm playing a survival campaign, and if I run out, that's impactful in a story moment. We're going to wait to see what equipment looks like for Black Flag, and then we're going to make decisions about how we'll probably support more than one option, right? There's probably going to be like a shop where you can like go and see the list of options and pick them and hit, add to sheet. There's probably going to be a way to drag them onto your sheet.
And I'm assuming it's going to be the same for other things that are in there, like talents being dragged on or class features. Is that also going to be kind of that either find in a list or drag and drop for things?
Yeah, so things like talents, we actually instead do things like, we saw that, like, we guide you through search and choices, but if I want to add a new talent, then I can start typing and be like, I'm looking for Elemental Savant and add it to my sheet and then open it up. We can also support dragging onto your sheet. It's good to support multiple things because people think in different ways.
Yes, UI UX is huge.
But we especially want to do it in a way that's like you write the code for adding a talent to your sheet once and how to display it once, and we add different ways of
to import
actually adding it. And just like with other homebrew, it's like a moose board is probably going to have some custom talents, so you can create your own homebrew or consume your own homebrew, and it will work on your character sheet the same way as the official content.
Is a lot of the look and feel of this is just before we dive into the questions, is a lot of this vision of how Foundry works? Because I've seen other games in Foundry, but with what we're just looking at right now, is it influenced by how video game user interface works and how people kind of interact with RPG-based video games? Is that where you kind of get your implementation for your user interfaces?
Yeah, so Foundry out of the box tends to look more like this right screen. Here's a name, here's a description, and here's a list of things.
Sure.
The left is, we want it to pull in that deep, dark black from, Black Flag's PDFs to make it look like it. The character builder, meanwhile, is more of a video game style, like, here's a list of choices, and you can scroll through them and things like that. That's it's up to the developers of what UX they pull inspiration from. And we want to show off like a couple options while we wait for the trade dress for
full version of it.
What's actually going to come.
Yeah. Okay.
Although there is a choice to be made about what core fantasies roleplay has as its look and feel might be different from what the actual product you buy from Kobold Press is.
Right.
Such that if someone forks and makes new other systems off of core fantasy roleplay, then they can inherit from a more general style. And we have support for all sorts of things. You can actually choose from different sheets. We've seen people provide this is a sheet that looks exactly like D&D Beyond,
right?
Because that's familiar to
you. Training people off of it.
This is a sheet that is super dark mode and a lot of light lines. People like different things, and so we could provide different looks and feels out of the box.
I'm gonna say it now. I'm only maybe half this audience need to get it. Yeah, I remember Winamp, and I remember those MP3 players where you redressed them for yourself.
Now, will we provide out of the box the bright pink anime girl bobbing in the corner? Probably not, but can someone write a module to provide it? Absolutely.
That's awesome. So anything else before we start fielding some questions here?
Yeah, let's go talk to the audience.
Is it audience time? All right, everybody. So we're gonna go into some questions now. We'll leave this up in case we needed it all. I'll come back to it. If you want to leave that in the background, I'll have it ready to go still, just in case something comes up with the system. But thanks HCP. We try. We're a small team. Let me say this first. I know Alexander's in here. I just started, and as somebody who's been a fan of Kobold Press for many years and the amazing people who've come in to do stuff, it is a small team. Everyone thinks we're a ginormous company. We aren't. It's very similar. We have a lot of freelancers. We work with people we think that are awesome. We work with different partners, but Alexander, you're in here. What are we, 13 people? Is that right? Is that the total staff for Kobold Press? Is it 13, bud? It's a small amount of people. We're not a large company. But we just have really good support and amazing people who help make things easier. I see Dot's in here too. Hi, Dot. So with that, let's do some Q&A here. Let's do some questions. If you have a question for us pertaining to what we're talking about today, if it's Black Flag, I will try my damnedest to answer what we're allowed to answer. Just put a Q before it and we'll start diving through questions. Hey, that works too. The highlight works. So what classes are you looking forward to for adapting for Black Flag? Well, I can tell you that right now, the Wizard and Fighter are coming up in Packet 2. I can tell you what I want. Someone said Pirate earlier. I do think a Pirate would be dope, or an archetype of some form for a pirate would be super sweet. Even though this is not pirate themed, I know a lot of people run pirate games. Do you have any classes you would like to see if Black Flag brought something over? Is there anything you would love? I know you play a lot of games like I do, and I know your favorite is 13th Aged. I've seen you drop it in every stream you've been in.
Hey, just so you know, 13th Age, it exists. Really got to boost those numbers. Yeah, I really like playing characters classes that can summon things and control them. Necromancers. That's always a lot of fun for me because I like the more tactics style, like moving around stuff on a battlefield.
I do too. I feel a lot of tabletop combat gets static. Everyone hits and then they just stay there till the combat's done or they don't go anywhere. I love being able to move around and have a little more of a skirmish, a little more cinematic attitude to it. I personally think one of my favorite things of all time, and I know it got cut from a lot of stuff, is I agree with the Summoner. I liked when you could wear Summoner stuff as like a suit, Guyver style, like the Venom symbiote suit. I always loved that for the horror aspect. But I personally would love to see high-end wizard dueling. I want something where you can have actual magic duels in the middle of other combat. So wizards aren't just going spell and done. I would love to see something like that. That's something I would like. And for classes, Chronomancer. I want time magic back.
Ooh,
I really want time magic back. I love Chronomancers. It was one of my favorite characters in 2nd edition. Yes, Alexander, I'm totally with you on that. Oh, we had another one here. I got 2 questions related to magic. The first is, how exactly do you plan to transition the deep magic books to the new project? The second is, do you plan to have magic in new project be unique like the way the deep magic books are designed? So I've said this in previous ones, and Alexander's in chat. I will say, as you've seen us make changes through history with Kobold Press to the 5e mechanics that we all love, you are seeing the beginning of our ideas of what we would like to transition into projects that we work on. And you've seen that we've already brought talents on, and you've seen Deep Magic 2, and the idea of what we're doing. We had a submit your spell, and we're putting some into the 900 spells in Deep Magic. So you're going to see some of that stuff. So like I've said in a previous one, look through all of the unique stuff that we've made, and maybe you're going to see some of that coming up in Project Black Flag. And then what was the second part of that here? How exactly plan to transition Deep Magic books? Well, most things are going to run parallel. I won't say they're not a 1-for-1 when you transition Black Flag to 5e and 5e to Black Flag, however you're going to do that. They run in parallel. The transition will be easy, but it's not a 1-for-1. I mean, Cody, you code. Trying to do a 1-from-1 for one system to another is very difficult to do. There has to be some things that you got to have a little flavor and fun with it. You're going to have to make some rules on the fly between you and your players. Magic for you all, you've done a lot of systems now. Is that a hard thing to add into a tabletop? Is that the most complex thing you guys do for most games? Is it the magic systems? Is that like in the top 3 of like difficult things to add?
Yeah, I think magic is like one of the things that can be really easy to add, or it can be really hard to add.
Depending on the system.
Like if you think about I'm just like throwing a force bolt at someone, like great, it's like essentially an attack. But if it's like, I'm creating vines in a triangular shape that slow down people more in the center and less at the outside, it's like that can be really hard, especially if you actually want it to like calculate movement through that space.
Sure, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being not the easiest thing to add.
Fighters just are going to have a lot less things to have to worry about for that kind of stuff.
So I think that's one of the big things that are missing from 5e products right now. Martial classes need more love. Now, I want more love for martial classes. Maybe that's a personal thing. I did our Book of Blades review here live, and I didn't realize how many cool things Kobold Press has done for martial classes. We did Barbarian, Fighter, Ranger, and maybe some of the best. I felt the Monk finally felt like a true martial artist in a martial arts film. Like you can catch blades in your hands and things like that with the Book of Blades. So I want that stuff in Project Black Flag for sure.
Yeah, I really, if wizards can do things like summon meteors and disintegrate people, I don't see any reason that we can't have, epic fighters that are just catching blades midair and throwing them back. And, people are like, oh, the Draken can just fly so Marshall can hand it. Yeah, I want Marshall to just grab a javelin and absolutely spear that guy and anchor him back down to the ground, right?
What else do we have in here? Eric, Deep Magic 2 has been such a booming success. Huge congrats, by the way, to Capital. That's awesome. Do you think coming straight out of the front door saying it will be Black Flag compatible influenced the success? I mean, Alexander, you're in chat. I mean, do you think that influenced it? I would say that... I can say this. Project Black Flag has been in the background for something that Kobold Press has wanted to do. We just moved the timeline a year forward. We bumped it up to make sure that we were providing something as the SRD for 5e is not as robust as needed, and as your 5e books go out of print as the other version comes out. We wanted to make sure we had something ready to support our already strong fan base and for the growing one that's there. So do I think Deep Magic 2 has been a booming success because of it? I think it helped. Absolutely. Did we plan on that? No, no one knew that stuff was going to happen. We're not going to talk about the month of Dark January, but we know that is definitely part of how things went. Cody, what is it? I love about the Foundry team is asking the Patreon community to vote on at least one major dev goal for each release. Are there any tasty nuggets coming for 2023? Can you let us in on it?
Yeah, so we're currently, the current release out in the wild is called version 10.
Okay.
And I know, we have really exciting names, right?
Hey, you used Moose as a description for thermostats. I'm assuming that was for Johnson controls. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
So I will 100% say, you got okay naming conventions. It's okay.
Version 11, which we're currently working on, we're not going to put a date on that either, but we're working towards later this year being able to release that. The big community vote was called compendium folders. So when you bundle up, say, Black Flag for distribution, right now, if I go look at the compendium, I have a compendium called Lineages. It's just a list. It would be what feature people have always wanted is that inside of that they want to be like, oh, this is my monster thing, but these are my beasts, these are my demons, these are my whatever. And we couldn't do that before. We now in version 11 can. That's what people voted on. It's the feature I'm working on, and I'm excited to get in people's hands. We don't know what we'll list as options for people who vote on for version 12. I have some personal hopes that there's the stuff that I think people would benefit from that aren't super exciting. As people do more hybrid play, mobile support or tablet support, especially being able to pull out your tablet and have your character sheet and click on it and use it is more and more important as people play in hybrid. That's the boring thing that people would benefit from. And then there's the exciting stuff. It's we currently lack a way for people to easily set it up where if you step on a pressure plate, the boulder starts rolling down the corridor at you. Making a system for those kinds of events and triggering other actions in a way that makes it easy for GMs to have stuff could be really cool and powerful and enable a lot of stuff that people struggle to do currently. Who knows? Yeah, I'm not Drentel. I am not promising anything because you guys have to vote on it and to make it and have it win.
Yes.
It's out of my hands.
What he said. It's your doing. Just like Cody crashes OBS. That is his fault. Yep. Your job is to make sure the Patreon is voted on. So, what else do we got here? Any Monster Hunter classes? I haven't seen anything that I know of a Monster Hunter class. I will say I love Monster Hunter classes. I think that there was a game that came out from Turtle Rock Studios back in the day. It was a video game called Evolve, I think, where you played 4 monster hunters hunting a kaiju. Yeah. Amazing game. I was a big fan of that, and I love the team strategy. I'm implementing something like that for one of my live streams coming up for how everything you do in a combat scenario builds towards whatever your goal is for that fight, like trapping the monster, taking it down, harvesting something, leading away from a city, eggs, and you're moving towards an economy for that. As for Project Black Flag, I don't know if there's Monster Hunter classes. I will say that in our Discord, that'd be an awesome thing to mention wanting, because I personally would like to see a Monster Hunter class. I think that'd be great. Alexander said, javelins are for noobs. Give me Jackie Chan style combat that beats people up with ladders and buckets. Look, throw anything style, whoop it on people. I know that in that Book of Blades, you can throat punch people to stop spell casting. You can catch blades. You can, what else was in there? There was something you can catch. Obviously, you can do the arrow catch stuff. There was a bunch of like the trip and hook maneuvers. There's weapons with the hook trait where you can like trip people and disarm. There's the, I cannot remember the name of the weapon offhand, but it's the 2 hooked blades that you actually link together to get reach as you're fighting with them. So, you know, Alexander, there's things we've already done. Do you have plans for more varied race sizes? I feel like 5e races, such as a fairy, got the short end of the stick and how they were handled. I would say that I would look through what we've done for 5e and our other races and expect to see some of those as Project Black Flag moves forward. You know, a moose, I don't think that would be a large creature. That might be, I mean, it would have to be, right? That's like Minotaur-sized.
Yeah, mooses are pretty big.
Do you see them as a centaur, or do you see them as a bipedal?
I think more like a centaur.
Yeah? That is scary.
Also,
that is absolutely frightening as someone who's seen a moose in person. That is absolutely frightening.
They also run like faster than cars at times, including through deep snow, and can dive up to like 50 feet.
Or or they run through cars.
Yep.
The rhinos of the snow. I think a 4-legged centaur race would actually be pretty cool for a moose. Celeste, if you watch this later, I would like a 4-legged moose centaur.
Celeste, do it for me.
Do it for Cody, Celeste. Do it for Cody. Would you consider adding something like Mighty Deed of Arms from DCC to make martial arts feel better? I am not familiar with DCC. Do you know what the Mighty Deed is? Have you coded that at some point in time?
Nope, I haven't done DCC, unfortunately.
I see your first time. If you give me a description of what Mighty Deeds is, maybe I can give you a better answer for that. Or somebody else in chat knows in case they missed this. What else do we have?
Black Flag's are gonna get mechs like Lancer, right?
I feel like I should just say we're making mechs and see what happens. We're not. That's not the plan. But how hilarious. We do have a lot of, you know, gunpowder in our current fantasy world. Midgard, we have, in Zobek, we have things like that. We have a little bit of that kind of feel. So, you know, maybe, I don't know. Do I want to see that in my fantasy games? I guess it depends on the fantasy thing that I'm running. What else do we got here? Most warrior classes don't give much consideration to shields and armor utilities since a shield torch holder. Look, Foundry's letting you put custom stuff in. Just add it.
Yeah.
Add a torch holder.
One of my favorite items I've seen is heavy armor that has a slot for another PC to just ride on the shoulder.
Master Blaster?
And that's not the name of it I'm thinking of. I'm sure the idea exists in other incarnations.
Someone in chat knows who Master Blaster is. I think, though, for like a torch, I don't see why you couldn't do that to where you attack somebody. If you shield bash someone, you also do fire damage. Maybe it's only a point, but it's to help bypass resistances. Or maybe there's a chance that it goes out. That would be pretty cool. I think that would be kind of awesome. There we go. Bot got it. Who rules Bartertown?
Okay, but that's Kobold Heritage win. You are a Kobold Press. You could be 3 kobolds in a trench coat heritage.
Look.
Lineage.
Look. I want the Swobold. When I saw that when we were looking through the latest Home of Beast, the Swobold is a jacked, I live in the gym kobold. So, you know, like dwarf-sized kobold. I think that that heritage is something I definitely want. Look, it's in our name. There's no way we don't do it. There's no way. It has to happen. Is there any heritages you would want to see, Cody, besides your Centaur Moose Bus?
Well, that's a lineage, right? So
yeah,
lineage.
Lineage.
You know, Lineages, like, I love when it breaks out of the standard, like, oh, there's elves and humans and dwarves, right? Like, I like playing interesting things, like, there's so many opportunities to do, like, weird animal hybrids or brand new things, like, but, if I say anything else, I would diminish Mooseborn. I just gotta keep banging that drum.
Would there be a heritage, like, for Mooseborn? Or does it all come from Centaur? How do you see that working? It's your
So
baby.
there's already the Grove heritage. I feel like Mooseborn probably align well with Grove heritage or in Nomadic. So, like,
Okay.
I don't know if they need a different, cultural background, but they're just big, and you could ride them if they let you, but they won't, and
Have you
very
ever
durable.
seen someone try to ride a moose? Have you ever seen that? No, because they're
No.
scary.
Absolutely.
That's not. I think the Mooseborn have to have intimidating glare, Ghost Rider style. They 100% have to have that. Is today going to be a good day or bad day glare? That's my personal opinion. Any other questions? Catfolk? Yeah, everyone wants Catfolk. That's something that everybody wants. Any previews of new lineages? Not today, Frog. Not today. Packet 2 is going to be more class in showing you kind of some of our beginning. Look, we can't give you everything out of the gate, right? Because we're had to push this a year ahead, and also we don't want to show everything right away. But what I can say with utmost certainty is the packets are going to continue. Playtest is going to continue through Kickstarter. Like, we're going to have something, and when the Kickstarter happens, we are currently, and this has been announced, we're looking at late May. That's our current rough window. We can say before that there's going to be a sizable playtest packet for you. That's what I will say. I can't say what all is going to be in it, but there's a sizable one. Right around your B-Day? Yeah, Crimson. So let's see. Do we see any other questions? Did I miss anything? Let's see here.
Any new Black Flag partners? Asked by Project Mirror.
Well, I mean, we're talking to one.
Yeah.
There is a blog post for the current partners for VTTs and for non-VTT stuff. There is in our blog post a good write-up of who is currently on board. I know that here for Kobold Chats, I'll be bringing people on that are partners and interviewing them throughout the process of Black Flag, obviously, past our Kickstarter. What's my favorite lizard? Well, my friend owned a monitor for a long time. I got bit by that. That was not fun. But Komodo dragon, that's probably my favorite lizard of all time.
That's a good one. I like one of my team members likes geckos, and I think geckos are quite great.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the TED Talk on the gloves that are microfiber hairs where you can climb with them?
Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
Based on a
That's
gecko.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. The person came back with the Mighty Deed stuff for us. Mighty Deed of Arms allows you to declare a combat maneuver, including anything you can convince your GM of rather than being from a finite list before rolling to attack. You roll a deed die for, what does it say? You roll a deed die for bonus damage, and if the roll is high enough, then the maneuver succeeds in addition to the attack. It's a rules-light way of making martial arts more fun. Oh, that's kind of cool. So you're basically just saying, here's the difficulty task, here's what you get if you're successful. I mean, I think you could house rule that easily into any system. I've never seen that, though. That's actually really cool. What should we expect from Midgard in the future? You know, Knight, that's a great question. I have been asking that internally, and I have been told, wait, Frank House. So my answer is, you gotta wait, like me. I don't know. I don't know at all. Somebody asked for a Frog Folk. I agree because I'm a Chrono Trigger fan. I would love a Frog Knight. Please give me a Frog Folk. You got to have something to fight Slods, right? If those are going to end up being SRD compatible now. You got to have that. What else are we talking about here? Pathfinder, Gripply is one of the favorites. Yep, I agree. Fog Fighter, yep, I agree. Is there anything else from the Foundry side that you guys would like to see with Black Flag? I mean, you're a partner. Is there anything that, as you're coding and doing stuff, that you want in a new core fantasy system? I mean, you are a 13th Age fan. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that just in general you would like to see come across?
Yeah, I think like right now it's like, we want to see what you guys are going to build. And then we have a lot of writers on our team, people who like system design and such, who I think are, as this comes out and they like chew on it, they're like gonna probably have some ideas. They're probably gonna be some spell suggestions, some lineage suggestions, some like maybe even some mechanic suggestions. I think it's hard to balance and not something you could just throw in like without changing a lot, but like the escalation die from 13th Age, where like every round you start getting a bonus so that fights don't slog on. I like that kind of thing, but it's hard to do that while still remaining backwards compatible, right? So it's always a balance.
We'll see.
Well, it changes the balance, right? If you're throwing a +6 on round 6, that suddenly makes monsters balance different, which makes it hard to pull in that monster.
So for those who don't know what the escalation die, it has been the sway die, escalation die. It's been a mechanic through numerous systems, and it was even just a plug-and-play mechanic for any game, where there is a die that as combat continues, bonuses get higher to make attacks happen more frequently or damage go higher, to really give you those apex moments of combat. Because in 5e and other games, and Cody, you can obviously chime in as well, is very front-loaded. You blow all your spells, and then combat slogs on until somebody's out of hit points. And the escalation die was to be like, well, fuck that. We want to make combat really hit its stride as you go forward. I love the escalation die. I think it's it's probably in my top 5 things. That and clocks. Those are the 2 things I use in every game. If you don't know what a clock is, I would highly say look into it. Clocks make GMing and timing of actions that happen so amazing. And you can apply it to any system. So those are things I'd like. I'm interested in reading through, what is that? Gumbot Banwa? Narrative systems? Oh, I do like narrative systems for non-combat. I agree, Bot. Does 13th Age have a narrative system for like narrative combat, for social combat?
Unlike, Lantern has like a completely different system, right?
Sure.
13th Age just uses skill checks similar to D&D 5e.
Gotcha.
But you get, rather than have like proficiencies, like, I'm proficient in these things, they have backgrounds where it's like, I am a monk trained in the mountains, and get to apply that bonus to anything a monk trained in the mountains would be good at.
I know that, knowing Celeste, I would not be surprised, because they love the RP, if we see something for social down the line. That's me making an assumption. That is not me stating a fact, for clarity.
No, I think that can definitely help a system just have a separate social loop from the combat loop, because you don't need to have the weight of what combat is. Correct.
And the actions that... There's 2 sides to that coin. Some people who are at a table don't role play heavy. They like the mechanics aspect of it. So you need to give them mechanics to help them feel more empowered when they're doing the role play aspect of it. And on the opposite end, you have your really strong role players who want their ideas to implement bonuses into their scenario that they're doing. So yeah, that's pretty, I'm with it. Oh, hey, thanks for the raid. We're just getting ready to wrap up here. I'll answer these last couple questions here really quick. They want to know, how automated will encounters be for Foundry? Well, we haven't really set out Black Flag's encounter system and how that's going to function. I guess I would turn that into, in other systems, have you guys automated combat in any way? In other systems that have come out that may get implemented for Black Flag?
Yeah, so, it varies system by system, but we are building a base so that we can do automated. We can simplify combat. Okay. Many systems do things, you're obviously going to get things like, it's going to add your bonuses to your D20 roll to get your total to hit. It's going to roll your damage dice for you to add them up so you see that you got, 22 damage die.
Sure.
We're planning on doing things like, if you target an enemy and it's rolling versus its AC, it will tell the GM whether or not it hit, and then the GM can apply that damage automatically and not do that math. So we do plan on doing that kinds of stuff. We built the data in a way so it's like, oh, you have bonuses on save checks as a dwarf. We hope to leverage the data we've already set up now to do those things automatically later so that you get that bonus automatically without having to think about it. Again, we want to keep it accessible to people who don't know the rules, and that kind of bookkeeping isn't really the fun part, right? Those mechanics exist to help tell the story and create environments, but you don't need to do those mechanics yourself.
Yeah, as a GM, because I don't know about you, Cody. I'm a forever GM. I think I play 1% of the year. I don't do automation much for me for doing that. What I would like is the ability to say, in new games, specifically in new games, as you're still learning the balance, the ability to go, this party is X power level or points, depending on the system that you're playing. In this case, obviously, it's going to be a level base. And be able to go, I need a really challenging that's going to use like 80% of their resources, from spells down to items, and for to have a back-end calculation where it's like, okay, you need to scale or add these things to the encounter. Here are some options. I love that kind of stuff for a new system.
Oh, here's a question I'll ask that you probably also don't have an answer to. A lot of people complain CR is not a great mechanic at telling you how hard.
Yeah, it's fucking garbage.
Monster is. Are you replacing it then?
It's fucking garbage. I will say, Kobold Press is known for monsters. Is that pretty fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Tome of Beasts, all that kind of stuff. And Wolfgang, out of all things, there's kobolds, which is a monster. Well, sort of. He loves them. I would say you're going to see something in the future that will be awesome, but we have to keep it parallel to 5e, so we can't change it so much that it's alien and foreign, or people who are joining us from the 5e culture would be lost, but we sure as shit can polish it.
Yeah.
I mean,
make a new system, offer a way to convert from one to the next.
Got it. I do agree. I will say as a GM, I do not use CRs.
Yeah.
Do you?
No. But you mentioned being a forever player. As we
forever GM.
Forever GM. Sorry. Yeah. As we close this up, you'd be interested to know for Foundry's 3rd anniversary.
Yeah.
The community is hosting FoundryCon, the first ever online convention for playing Foundry online with people. We got over 50 people already signed up for it. We got some cool partners lined up. Those are just GMs too, over 50 GMs, multiple tables for some of them, a variety of system, a lot of Pathfinder, a lot of 5e, but a lot of other stuff too. We got some big publisher partners. I'm not going to say who they are yet, but
I don't know.
might be,
maybe if Alexander's in chat. Can you say when it's going to be?
Yes, FoundryCon will be in May. Am I allowed to post links, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, if not, you can drop it to me, and I will post them if it doesn't put it in there. Yeah. Just drop it to me in Discord. I'll throw it in here for you. How much is it? It worked for you. I thought I had added you so you could.
Perfect. Yeah. No, FoundryCon is a completely free to attend event. So year one, we encourage them not to go all whole cog with keynote speakers and workshop and such. It is just a bunch of people playing a bunch of games. So this is your chance to play in Foundry on a variety of systems and have someone else be the GM for once. I myself will be signing up to run some games and play some games. So of course, Black Plague will unfortunately not be quite ready to play by then, I don't think, but maybe it will be.
We'll see what happens. Our Kickstarter is at the end of May.
Yeah.
That's our game plan. We're animating it. So the real question then with this convention coming up is, since it's virtual, are you even allowed to attend? Because it will crash.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't attend that. Oh.
Is that even a feasible thing for you, Cody? Or will the whole thing come down around? No, I'm just kidding.
These are things I have to, keep me up at night and reflect.
True stress questions. Am I allowed to be there?
Yeah.
So, Cody, anything else you'd like to talk about before we close out today? Thank you for staying through the crash that you caused, since I'm supposed to blame you for that now, according to the entire audience. there
I'd just
anything
like
else?
to promote your own products on Foundry. Kobold Press is a partner with Foundry. We have some of your fantastic content, such as Toma Beasts and the Prepared Collection, all available, ready to go to play on Foundry. Some of those products are even on sale for your anniversary, so I definitely recommend people go pick them up. They're high-quality products. They're a lot of fun to play, and you can go run them in FoundryCon. I have a link here, actually, of all of Kobold Press's content on Foundry. So go check that out. Otherwise, I'm sure we'll talk again in the future, maybe in a couple months when it's closer to like actually playing games in Black Flag on Foundry. Maybe we'll get a game going. You can otherwise find out what Foundry's doing on our Twitter. We have a huge Discord of people that join. And keep your eyes out for V11 coming sometime this year.
So with that, I have a parting question I'm going to ask you. And I do this during most interviews. And this is going to be a difficult one. Mm-hmm. What is the most unique game you have ever played? Convention or online? And what made it unique?
Oh, that is always a hard one, isn't it? The current campaign I'm running, all of my players decide to play halflings or dwarves or gnomes. So none of them are taller than 4 feet. And they, by session 2, invented a ladder that magically raises its height so they can be an inch taller than anyone they talk to. I think that's a story I'll share.
Well, that was amazing. Mine was playing Nightmare on Sesame Street, and I will say that he had actual puppets, and it was insanity.
That sounds awesome.
Dead Gaming Society, the guy was amazing. He was at conventions a lot before COVID. So that's it for us. I'm going to do a little closeout for us. Cody, stay in the wings. We'll chat for just a minute after the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited to see what else you guys do for Black Flag and for, everything that we do in this partnership between us. It's a marriage that might actually work. I'm excited. I love technology, and you guys are making something that now I'm going to learn over the next couple of weeks and play around with. Maybe you can give me a one-on-one course on how to use Foundry properly. So,
only if we could stay connected longer than 10 minutes.
Hey. It's working. It's working. It's been over 10 minutes. We've made it. We have made it. We're there. So, Cody, thank you. I'm going to take it over to Solo Cam. What did you say? You cut off for me.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, yes, dude. Awesome. It's great meeting you and actually talking to you and having it not just be two ships passing in the night. So for everybody else, this is Cody. Thank you for joining us, Cody. For everyone who is here for Kobold Chats, I would like to remind you that our anniversary is going on. There is still one available that's going to end in a few hours on our site. You can check that out. I put the link in chat. Pick up yours, and then there will be a new one releasing tomorrow, another discount or freebie possibly for our anniversary. The mega bundle will be going on through the whole thing, and I will be running an actual play where you, the audience, get to play as the Swobold through the dungeon that we created last week. This is going to be on Sunday. We're aiming for 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. If anything changes, check out our Twitter and all of our socials for what's going on. And then remember, if you want to know what's going on with Kobold Press, besides Twitter, check our blog on our website. We write new articles all the time, and there's always Black Flag Friday. If you've missed any of those posts, they're still there for you to go back and read. I'm Eric Frankhouse. Thank you for joining us for Kobold Chats, and we'll be back next week before I head to GaryCon with something special. See you guys next week. Have a great one.